Tyr is the god of law, justice and oaths. He is the one who placed his hands in the drawers of Fenrir, knowing what it would cost him, because an oath had been given and someone needed to stand for it. In the Lay of Ymir, Tyr is called the bravest and most valiant. He has great power over victory in battles. To me, the battle isn't always with the sword and shield. Sometimes the battlefield is in the streets we walk, the people we serve, and the weight we carry when things don't go the way we hope. I joined the police service because of Tyr, and when I took my oath, first to the Queen and now to the King, I did so with Tyr in my heart. It was more than just ceremony, it was a sacred binding. I pledged myself to service, to justice, and to protection, just as he did, even when the cost was high. And the first time I truly felt Tyr's presence was during one of the most hardest moments of my career. Responding to an emergency, a person in cardiac arrest, and alongside paramedics spent nearly 3 hours performing CPR, fighting to bring them back, and despite every effort we were unable to resuscitate them. But in that moment, exhausted, heartbroken, covered in sweat, and holding the weight of someone's last moments, I felt him. I felt the gravity of the oath I'd sworn, the duty I carry, and the presence of Tyr behind me. Not judging, not comforting, but standing, steady, constant, holding the line when others cannot. That day we were not victorious, but we were valiant, and Tyr honours both. As the prose Edda says, Tyr is a courageous god. It is said of a man who surpasses others and does not waver that he is Tyr valiant. That is what I strive to be, Tyr valiant. Not perfect, not fearless, but unwavering, honourable, and willing to carry the burden, even when the outcome is out of my hands. Tyr isn't just a god I will honour at blot, he is a constant presence in my work, my oath, and all my actions. Every time I put on my uniform, I remember why I chose this path and who walks with me upon it. At Tyr's moot, I raise my horn to the one-handed god, the protector of oaths, the guardian of justice, the quiet courage in the dark. Hail Tyr.
I have had a very long association with Tyr, and he has helped me out on a number of occasions. The most significant would have been a long time ago when I was on a government training course to train in computer programming, run by a firm that was obviously a scam. And I was fed up with this. So at the evening devotional one day, I complained to Tyr about it and said I'd be better off getting a job and going to evening class. The very next day, I've left the course to go uptown to get my lunch, and I'm walking past the local courthouse, and there's an old friend of mine in a security uniform. I stopped to have a chat, and he explained he'd been there about 6 months doing court security, and said he was leaving the next week for another job. And he said, there's a vacancy here. Would you like to have a job? And I said, yes. So the very next week I found myself in security, a job I thought would last about 6 months and ended up lasting over 20 years and proved to be a very fulfilling role. So hail Tyr.
Tyr, as I know him, is the patron god of the humble soldier. As such, I have found he is often followed by military veterans because he stands for very similar principles to those we are taught throughout our military careers. Integrity, honour, discipline and loyalty are traits I commonly associate with Tyr, and at the core of how I try to conduct myself in my day-to-day life to the best of my ability. I always try to be fair, pragmatic and objective, especially when it comes to my family, friends and communities, and uphold the values that I see in Tyr. Tyr is a god of justice and fairness, and I feel he seeks this in those that follow him. My rituals and my actions, my words, the way I conduct myself and how I deal with the trials and tests. My hard work and dedication to everything I do is my veneration in a bid to do what I feel is right. And what is right is not always the easiest option. This can often be a test of our mettle. I believe the love Tyr had for Fenrir in his youth is reflected within followers of him by a bond often found with our canine companions. I love dogs and always have, and I truly believe the love and respect in which we treat them as our equals, as our family, is a direct reflection of the relationship between Tyr and Fenrir. I believe you can't have Tyr without at least acknowledging the presence of Fenrir. Tyr is the overseer of community and the think. These are very important within my practice. I try to make everyone feel welcome, comfortable and that they have a voice. I feel that these actions are the way Tyr would want those who dedicate their time to him to conduct themselves, and it is in keeping with his values.
To me, Tyr is the voice of reason. He is for justice and honour, And before Odin took the helm, he was the god of war. And as a veteran myself, that is something I can resonate with. I often ponder the sacrifice and bond he had with Fenrir Sulfur, and I find myself emotionally attached to that story. Tyr shows us through that sacrifice a truly selfless act and how hard it can be to make the right choice on a difficult day. Through Tyr we gain strength, and I'm forever grateful to him. And it is with great pride and honour I get to lead the block for this magnificent, selfless, loyal, trustworthy God. And I hope to all who follow him, I do him some justice and make you all proud. And so, son of Odin, Lord of war, and God of justice, here Tyr!